So, following the previous tutorial in this session, we want to look at how we can work around date. Okay, so usually when you get a data like this, okay, you might not always want to plot this date you've acquired as against the revenue discount or any other data point. Okay, sometimes you might want to analyze it weekly, like for instance within the week, quarterly, or any other thing. Okay. So we want to look at how we can work around these dates. Okay. Now, for any reason you don't see the formula bar or the settings query over here, just click on the view. Okay. All right, then the query settings, and that is going to show up over here. Now, if you're not seeing this formula bar, just check this one. Okay, and it's going to show. All right. So let's go ahead and remove all these columns over here because we're not really interested in them. So you can decide to remove these ones one by one like that, and that's a choice. So maybe this time around we're going to use that approach. So in subsequent ones we're going to use a different approach in removing them. All right. So let's go the hard way for now. All right. So if you remember, I told you about changing the data types. Okay. Now, if you look at this one, this over here is a date. Okay. Power BI is considering this data here as a test. Okay. Look at ABC as test, and then the date, time, date looks like something like this. Okay. But don't worry, we'll come back. You get to realize the relevance of changing the data types very soon. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and then be doing some cool stuff with this particular column. Now, before we start, let's look at something over here. We have something we call transform. We have another one called add column. Now, basically, if I'm in this transform tab, all the analysis I'm going to run over here, or the editings, is going to affect this particular column. Now, if I should move to add column, whatever editing I perform over here is going to add a new column to this particular column. So let's go ahead and then visit the from date, and now let's move to date over here, and you can see that we don't have anything like the age is grayed out, date only is grayed out, year grayed out, month. You can't select any of this. The only thing you have over here is past, and that is simply because you want Power BI to extract perhaps the year, the month, or the day column, or the day from this particular data set you have over here. However, Power BI is considering this data as test. It doesn't see it as date, so it's finding it difficult to do that. So it's either you pass it to date, or we just go ahead and then change this particular data type to date like that. Now Power BI is seeing this thing here as a date. Now let's go ahead and then click on this, and you can see that we have all these things being active over here. Okay, now let's look at some cool stuff we can do here. Let's select just the year portion out of this data. Okay, now, and you can see that it adds another one over here. Okay, now that is because we are in the add column tab. Now if I should go to transform, and I should perform the same analysis on this particular column, it's going to update the values over here. Now, for instance, we have the dates over here. Let's go ahead and then extract just the month of this particular section. Let's go to month, click on this, and you can see what just happened. Okay, it didn't create a new column. It was just the old column that we had, but then it updated it. Okay, now let me revert these changes. So I want to remove this one. Okay, so whenever we want to make changes to our data over here, we'll be using the add column. Now for any reason, if you would want to use the transform, that's up to you. You just decide on what you want to use your data for, how you want to handle it. But cool advice, I would suggest that you use the add column just to maintain the old one. Okay, so all right, currently we've looked at how we can extract just the year out of this particular date. Okay, and you can see that the year too has got a different data type. Now let's go ahead and then do some cool stuff with this one. Let's get for instance the month. Okay, you can either get the start of the month, end of the month, anything, or the name of the month. Now you can see that this is 2nd January. This is the 2nd January, and when I come down here, do we have just January? Yeah, probably. But then if we had something else, you would have seen the changes being affected at the month name column. All right, so let's go ahead and do some other cool stuffs with it. Now we can get just the quarter, say quarter of the year, and that is giving us maybe this transaction happened in the 1st quarter of the year. Let's go down, perhaps the data set we have, everything happened within just that period. That's what we're getting the 1st quarter only. Okay, so we can go ahead and then get that of the week, say week of the year that this happened. Okay,